learning from opportunities in the overlapping horizontal developmental fields.
Each executive leader's key concerns, see Figure 13.2, reflected the responsibility assigned to them from the 3-year strategic plan that carried the most risk. There was contention between the leaders due to this general performance pressure, other systems dynamics including resource contention, and interpersonal relationship histories. Some had known each other at previous hospitals, and each had a unique relationship with CEO Robert. Robert was an extremely effective senior executive, his strategist action logic made visible in his integration of core hospital values with operating plans, his first-rate systems thinking, and his uncanny ability to consistently reframe conflict among his senior leaders and their staffs as opportunities for the whole hospital system to become stronger. Robert often raised the external and internal uncertainty as a key feature of their environment and a driving reason for his team's need to get better at dialoguing and working together on the toughest problems they shared. Robert seemed to have a sixth sense in how he influenced the development of his executives, including encouraging them to work together to find areas of consensus and compromise in their key areas of responsibility. Catherine, Luke, and John, CIO, CNO, and COO respectively, collectively shared the hospital goals stemming from 3 mission-critical initiatives: 1. Implementing the digital, paperless, patient record and the related information system conversions and upgrades associated with this; 2. Maintaining the quality of patient care during these systems upgrades; and 3. Meeting the U.S. healthcare reform-driven goals for increased accountability by institutional providers, physicians, and payers such as insurance companies. These 3 strategic initiatives required these individuals to work collaboratively and effectively, but there were tensions between them given their different personalities, approaches to working across hospital departments and other boundaries, and even arising from their different relationships with Robert. The developmental opportunities for this trio included Catherine consolidating her achiever action logic by becoming increasingly aware of her preferred learning style and using different ones in her relationships with Luke and John. She benefited from moving from a directing style of leadership to a more facilitative style, particularly considering these were her peers. She was encouraged to use a more strategic approach to managing the information systems projects and to build more reflective capacity into her meetings by how she led others in understanding and learning from the occasional errors that were made. She attempted to seek feedback more often so she could adjust her approach in response to other executives' reaction to her. Her efforts to consolidate her achiever action logic capacities was challenged by the others' distrust of her, a dynamic that arose from the catalytic action of her private conversations with Robert. Because of their prior working relationship at a previous institution, her close and effective working relationship with Robert was a frequent perturbation in the larger senior team set of relationships. Luke attempted to enhance this trio's cohesion by being aware of what was trying to emerge, or watching for opportunities to start over with a new set of agreements between the 3 of them. The disagreements among them typically had to do with budget and resource contention, or information system priorities, and John, late achiever, often accused Catherine, achiever, of trying to control the entire enterprise. In her role she was tasked with developing timelines and project plans for the large-scale computer conversion projects, and this necessarily drove other priorities. The developmental challenge was for Catherine and John to develop a mutual understanding of their priorities and to identify how their objectives were necessarily interdependent. This meant John overcoming his distrust of her, something that is still a developmental goal. Luke's influence was most effective when he could use feedback loops effectively to understand how the staffs of each of these 3 vice presidents understood and misunderstood agreements and disagreements between their departments. Luke, as an individualist, often acted as mediator between Catherine and John. Finally, the pervasive uncertainty in the external environment due to healthcare reform requirements passed by the U.S. Congress and the shaky economy, actually worked to encourage a developmental perspective by this senior team, in that Robert continuously pointed out the benefits of using the unexpected changes as vectors to bring the senior team together and to expect the same of their departments. Another good example of the developmental potential in overlapping action logics was the field created between Michael, the CFO expert, and the rest of the senior leadership team. Michael had a long career as an accountant, tax expert, and hospital vice president of finance, and had a solid track record of keeping the hospital profitable each year that he was CFO. The challenges arose in Michael's solid expert action logic and how it showed up in senior leadership meetings, particularly when he adopted a quite static, black and white approach to the complex challenges the senior team had to resolve. The senior team was at its best when it was successful in uncovering the limits of the expert approach to their complex issues, such as the need to trim millions of dollars from the budget, or to finance a startup neonatal intensive care unit that wasn't estimated to make a profit until its third year in operation. The senior team discovered how to present a more complex approach to financial challenges by allowing Michael to be the expert and let him know they all carried the responsibility for the hospital's financial success with him, and that it was not only on his shoulders. This enabled them to show Michael the limitations of the expert action logic and that they were encountering problems that required a broader and more complex understanding of possible alternatives. This interdependent spirit provided a supportive context in which Michael gradually assumed a more reflective, collaborative approach to identifying, framing, and proposing alternative solutions to the most challenging budget issues.